should be able to get that from a very, very minimal writing.
I have a question for Harris, and it stems from Mamma Mia and Shooting in Greece. So we saw this movie, was a big success, and I was wondering, how did you deal with the Greek light, first of all? I mean, what were your lighting decisions? And how did you deal with the Greek environment? It was 2008, I think, or before that. It was before the crisis. And so if you can talk a little bit about that.
The sun crashed. 2008, yes. Well, first of all, about 80% of Mamma Mia is shot in London, at Collingwood Studios. So we only shot a few weeks here for exteriors. I think we deal with the sunshine and the environment in a way that does two things, I think. Make you feel like you are there. That's a really important thing for a cinematographer to do. And it doesn't matter whether you're shooting in Hungary or Greece. I think you've got to maintain, yes, a truth there. And I think with exteriors, to answer a bit more about how we dealt with shooting in Greece, it was pretty much planning the day to follow the sun. That's stronger than any of us and any of our lamps and anything we could do. And what we did was we were just quite meticulous in our planning. And it worked really well for us. Rather than fight it, many people like to kind of silk an entire football field or something like that. We didn't. We just used very basic tools, pretty much reflectors and not a lot of lamps, and followed the sun. The difficulty was to recreate that in the studio back in London. That's a whole different ball game, but that's the fun of being a cinematographer. That recreation based on observation, I think, is really something you must really enjoy.
And you started in London.
We started in London, yes.
Much harder.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you know. I mean, often we start with interiors. That's how it gets scheduled, and at least you knew when you go to Greece, you're gonna 90% of the time have a light that you are creating on stage. But often we are given interiors, and 4 or 6 weeks later, we have to shoot the matching exterior. Somebody walking up to a building, and I don't know if it's going to rain that day, and when I do the exterior. So, in a way, you can't play with light maybe as the way you would like to by bringing hard beams of sunlight in. So often, like in Berlin, it was the case. We did all our interiors first, and then we shot all our exteriors on Monuments Men. And, the big museum scenes. I mean, so I had to be sort of non-committal. I brought in big bounce sources that could play as sun exterior or as overcast exteriors. And it's a little sad, sometimes better if you can do the exteriors first.
Hello. I have 2 questions actually for Ferdinand is the one. Yes.
Yeah.
I read in an article that you said that if the cinematography is recognized, it's not good for the movie. Could you tell me more about that?
Not really good for the movie. I just said I like not to be necessarily recognized. Like I don't want somebody to watch 10 minutes of a movie and go, oh, that one shot that. I see he's doing the thing again with it, like the Bob Richardson thing where it's just burning out there. It's just certain trademarks that you repeat and which can be great. I just personally I like to try and have a variety of approaches depending on the story, and I don't impose my style if there is one. I'm sure I can't help it. There's certain quality in the compositions that, you know, people, I mean, I know people say, oh, I recognize your compositions, you know, but of course there's always something of each of us in the films we do, but, you know, Haris and Christian, I mean, we all vary, and then you have, you know, the cinematographers I admire the most are like that, you know, like Emanuel Lubezki, I mean, he does Y Tu Mama Tambien, and then he does Gravity, and he, you know, he can apply himself.
Trademark is the right word, which is,
Yeah.
Mercedes stuff.
And, you know, and there are other great cinematographers that are, you know, have influenced everything we do, like Vittorio Storaro, but it got to a point where I would watch his work and I say, oh, it's, you know, Vittorio, it's coming in, you know, warm light from here, and so, and sometimes it works brilliantly, because in conjunction with that story or that director, his style fits perfectly, but, and, you know, you watch Roger Deakins, I mean, now he's maybe become a little more precise and repetitive in his approach to lighting, which is very specific. He works with a lot of bounce light, a lot of soft sources. But, you know, if you look at it earlier in his career, he did Sid and Nancy and Mountains of the Moon, back to back, on, you know, and it was completely different. So I just meant that. But I do think that if somebody comes up to you and really, like, as a group or as critics, you know, that the photography gets singled out, then that's not good. That's, because, you know, you really shouldn't, I mean, it should not stand apart from the film.
Yeah, sure. And the other question is for Mr. Haris, and it's about the movie Sloth. I really like this movie. I mean, I like the style of the movie, and I really admired this movie and the perspective of the cinematography and all this stuff that is cooperating so well with, I mean, the image dramaturgy with dramaturgy, the acting dramaturgy are so connected. So how did you end up with this style that is completely, I mean, different than the old Sloth?
Well, this goes back to the script. I mean, that is a Harold Pinter script. And if you know Harold Pinter and his plays and his screenplays, they are crisp and precise and to the point, and there's no, it is a minimalist, to the point approach to how to work a scene, how to convey an emotion. So that led to a style for the film that portrayed that. It was also very much like Locke in that there's so many limitations. You know, it's two guys in a room, that's the entire film. That you really need to kind of make someone feel that they're there, and that moving a camera a centimeter over or adapting the lighting a teeny bit will completely alter this this environment. For me, I think they're quite similar films, Locke and Sleuth, in that they were for me a kind of an exercise in minimalism and precision, and I got all of that from the script and the directors. You know, that it was an interpretation of that.
Were the choice of the colors were used so it could subconsciously create an emotion to the viewer?
Well, in the original script, he used mannequins to scare his victim, basically. We wanted to try something different and bring it to modern age, and it was the first time I used LED lights, and I think it was a very early use of LED lights, but I used them as architectural lights. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting? Exactly. They were that this man had this super modern house that he could control the lighting on, and he could intimidate Jude Law's character. And I think the director and the production designer really kind of caught on to that. They thought, wow, this this would be, if you were sitting in a chair and this man starts fiddling around with kind of the color of the lighting, etc., I'd feel a little uneasy. So I didn't make any kind of Vittorio Storaro choices of what the colors were, but I did set up as a room as if, being that character. If I was to light it and I was going to say, I want to control the lighting here and intimidate someone, what would I put in? And they really were all interactive to Michael Caine's character, so he could really play with the lighting and intimidate that character.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we have to finish. So would you please thank the gentleman? Thank you all for coming.
By the way, Imago was invented to start with the beginning of our discussion, just that we can be some stars. Finally.
Just before you all leave, thank you for coming. Thank you to the Greek Society and to everyone concerned with it. And Giannis would now like to say something. Thank you all very much.
Well, I would like to thank you, Jim, and also I have to thank all the sponsors. Before I thank all the sponsors, I would like to tell you that everything was recorded these 2 days and is going to be published at our site. So it's free to the public, everyone can watch it. And I would like to thank, of course, Imago. Without their help, it was impossible to have this here. Also, the Greek Film Archive that they invited us in this place. The Minister of Tourism, the National Tourist Organization of Greece, the Greek Film Center, the Greek Office of Creative Europe, the European Cultural Center of Delphi, OTE TV, Panavision, Sony, Red Cameras, the Greek representative of Ariflex, Mr. Kalavitis, Arctos, Author Wave, White Balance, Black Orange, Νεανικό Πλαίσιο, Rent Photo Video, Greek Garden, and Tselepos Winery. And of course, yes, I told him at the beginning, and Mr. Panos Taboglis is our director. That's the person who did all this. Thank you very much for the contribution. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ όλους. Είσαστε υπέροχοι κοινό.